Hey everybody, welcome back to No Jumper News. It's Adam22 here with your co-host AD. Let's get right into these stories. So first things first, Lil Wayne pled guilty to a federal gun charge Friday and could possibly go to prison for 10 years. Authorities said that Lil Wayne admitted to possessing a .45 caliber gold-plated handgun and 6 rounds of ammunition despite being a convicted felon following a 2019 search of a private plane in Miami. A report says that Lil Wayne told investigators the gun was a Father's Day gift. They also found personal use amounts of cocaine, ecstasy, and oxycodone in his bag, though he was not charged with any drug offenses. Before the 2019 search incident, Lil Wayne had been convicted of a felony which made his possession of the gun and ammunition illegal on that day. Although his charge holds a maximum prison sentence of 10 years, Lil Wayne would likely get far less time. He's been free on a $250,000 bail but has yet to surrender his passport. His hearing is scheduled for January 28th, 2021.
Next story. This weekend, Meek Mills and Akademiks continue their month-long dispute on the invite-only Clubhouse. Following the Clubhouse argument, AK, Meek, and 21 Savage all became trending on social media. Audio from the heated Clubhouse conversation eventually leaked online for the world to hear. In the incident, Meek and others could be heard going in on Akademiks for using his social media platforms to attack rappers, promote beef, and profit from posting all the negativity that occurs with the culture. AK and Meek got into a heated conversation. AK eventually started to raise his voice at Meek, screaming that he stopped posting about him after Meek directed him not to. Meek intervened by telling AK,
Akademiks, if we was in a room and you was talking to me like that and you screaming like that, that would not take place.
Back in June, Meek demanded Akademiks to stop posting him on social media. Akademiks agreed, saying he gladly obliges, adding, "I don't need no artist who doesn't want to be on my platform." Meek later attempted to cancel AK, tweeting Akademiks canceled because he's bad police and our culture doesn't need him. He also gassed a lot of beef that got people killed and hurt and never donated $1 to the culture. We gonna holler at you the next run, champ. 21 Savage acted as the mediator in the Clubhouse conversation, keeping it cordial, stepping in as the voice of reason. Check us out, y'all. The conversation needs to go in a direction where Akademiks, you kind of hear what people are saying, and Meek, you hear what Akademiks is saying, so we can move forward and try to clean it up. It's already enough of us going against each other, so we don't need this conversation to end in fuck yous. It needs to be more like, how can we fix this shit? The culture doesn't like about what you do instead of just fighting it off, bro. Despite the tense nature of the entire conversation, Meek expressed his appreciation for the open dialogue with AK. He tweeted shortly after the Clubhouse chat ended, "I apologize if I cut anybody off. I be having my heart in this shit too much. If you was there, you know it was a great start for communication in hip-hop. The way 21 handled it inspired me, and it was a good highlight. I appreciate the convo and all." Akademiks held his own throughout the conversation, but ultimately agreed, tweeting the same sentiment about 21 Savage writing. 21 Savage, one of the realest niggas in hip-hop. He can call a nigga on their bullshit, but still fuck with, then accept them for whatever they are. If anybody out there seek the convo we had, we talk privately the same exact way. I appreciate a nigga being himself no matter who in the room.
All right, so last story. Offset weighed in on the controversy over Snoop Dogg criticizing Cardi B for being too openly sexual on her song WAP, stating that he hates when men get in female business. Snoop initially criticized the song in a recent interview, advising the girls to slow down. Let's play that clip right now.
Slow down. Like, slow down.
Okay.
Slow down, and let's have some imagination. Let's have some, privacy, some intimacy where he wants to find out as opposed to you telling him. To me, it's like it's too fashionable. When that is secrecy, that should be a woman's. That's like your pride and possession. That's your jewel of now. That's what you should hold on to. That should be a possession that no one gets to know about until they know about it.
Snoop later clapped back against those who were trying to portray him in a negative light on Instagram. "Stop with the bullshit press. I love Cardi B and Meg's music, period, point blank. And they know that I'm in full support of the female MC movement. So stop trying to make me a hater. That song's 6 times platinum. Talk about that." Do you think that Snoop Dogg has a point? Because I've heard a lot of people make this argument, but it hasn't really been anybody that is as close to the culture as Snoop Dogg. But I mean, we've definitely heard a lot of like Republican type people. And you know that there's a lot of older dudes in hip hop who feel a certain kind of way, in particular the dudes who are like in their 40s, maybe 50s. They have daughters who are maybe, 12 to maybe in their teens, and they're looking at WAP and they don't really like it on a personal level in terms of the way that it's influencing or affecting their kids. But then at the same time, there's a big stigma about sort of slut shaming in the culture right now. So it is interesting to see somebody like Snoop Dogg actually taking a moment to have his piece on this. What do you think?
It's funny because I had this conversation with my mom and my uncles yesterday. You know what I mean? And as a guy that has a daughter, I don't mind the radio version of the song, but it just goes back to when you were little and you heard certain songs that your parents probably thought was like, this is bad, this is the worst thing ever. And it was funny because my uncle literally told my mom, your mom be singing that song, she's so disgusting. You know what I'm saying? And my mom was like, Alexa, play WAP. And my daughter was in the room. I'm like, no, don't play that right now.
Right.
Because I love the song. The song is dope as hell, but I don't want my daughter running around saying she got a wet ass pussy at 11 years old. You know what I'm saying?
I know, and that's the funny thing about a lot of this stuff is that we forget that a lot of this content is clearly meant for adults. Like, there's nothing even slightly controversial about saying that an 11-year-old girl probably shouldn't be listening to WAP, in the same way that it wouldn't be anything controversial to say that an 11-year-old boy shouldn't be listening to the most gangster-ass song that we ever appreciated, you know? It's like when you're playing that kind of content for a kid, you're kind of hoping that the kid isn't going to necessarily understand what they're saying, whether it's some violent shit or whether it's some sexual shit. You're just hoping that you can kind of skate through that piece of content without them necessarily recognizing what's going on. But I will say that, like, when you're teaching a young boy about violence or when you're teaching a young girl about the sexuality and stuff, you do want to be very, very careful. I don't think Snoop saying that is even slightly controversial. If Cardi B or Offset were going to be honest about it, they would probably acknowledge that content is not for small children. It's for adults, right?
But I like the way the Offset, he was like, look, that's female business. He don't want to get in that. But, like, it's just like we were saying, you go back in the day and shit, is like, I remember I used to get in trouble for listening to Eminem. Like, it was like, my granny was like, this is the worst stuff ever.
I have it permanently marked in my head. My dad smashing my Tupac CDs with a hammer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, you know, yes, I have an 11-year-old daughter, and I see her dance to it on TikTok all the time, which is fine with me. I just don't want her to be singing the explicit version. And I think that's what Snoop was trying to say. Like, ladies, you know, I think he was talking to the younger girls and stuff like that because, you know, yeah.
And then, but it's interesting how Snoop came around and said, like, yes, I have an opinion, but don't try to turn me into Mr. Anti-Woman or whatever just because I had a pretty sane, normal conversation, a very, like, rational opinion about who should be influenced by those songs. I think Snoop doing that is totally fine, and I don't think that, like, painting Snoop as if he's this woman hater is necessarily going to be useful in this scenario. And I'm glad that he was willing to say that. I do think this is an important conversation to be had within the culture, and I don't think that people should be trying to shut each other up by just sort of saying, like, oh, he hates women and that's the only reason he's saying this, or she just, you know, just wants to spread this, like, horrible pornographic content to girls. I mean, this is like this is an important conversation to take place, and I think it's a good thing.
It's fucking about to be 2021. I don't think that Cardi B and Meg made that song trying to destroy the youth or anything like that. It's a moment. It's a dope ass song. It's 6 times platinum. You know what I'm saying? The video is fucking amazing.
You donate any dead babies to that song?
Yes, I have.
Wow. Props to AD for admitting it. Yes. I haven't got around to it. Maybe I'll do that when I get home. Okay, YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to hit the like button, because if you get 5,000 likes, then I'm going to show up wearing pajamas just like my co-host right here.